This plan will get checks out the door starting this month to the American people who so desperately need the help. Many of whom are lying in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering, will I lose my job if I haven't already? Will I lose my insurance? Will I lose my home?
Welcome back to the Big Sunday Show. I'm Ben Domenech, along with Leo Terrell, Carley Shimkus, and Rachel Campos-Duffy. The Senate narrowly passing its $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief bill. But who qualifies for the stimulus might shock you. Senator Tom Cotton slamming the bill, tweeting, Senate Democrats just voted to give stimulus checks to criminals in prison. A few of those inmates include mass murderer Dylan Roof, Boston bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev, and drug trafficker Aaron Shamo. This is the sort of thing that I think a lot of people would have an issue with, their own tax dollars being used to go to these convicted criminals, violent criminals in this instance. Rachel, tell me a little bit about what you think is going on here in terms of the dynamic with the Biden administration. There's so many people who have held up this relief bill as being something essential for America, and yet the early signs that we've seen, both in terms of jobless numbers and in terms of tax revenues at states, kind of indicate that this bill seems unnecessary at best.
Well, right. And also, it's not just that the economy is improving, it's that the whole COVID pandemic is improving. If you talk to, very honest scientists and virologists, they think we're, very close to reaching herd immunity in the next couple months. So, of course, the Democrats want to hurry up and get all the spending out the door. And as you indicated in your read here, I mean, this is untargeted, and it's getting into the wrong hands. And this is exactly why people, the American people trust Dave Portnoy at Barstools to, deliver money to people who actually need it better than the U.S. government. I can tell you my own parents who are retired got checks in the previous COVID bills, and now we're finding out that felons are getting it. Look, my parents at least stimulate the economy. They go out to dinner, they buy gifts for their grandkids. The felons are sitting in jail. They're not stimulating the economy at all. And then they said, well, it's for their kids. Well, their kids are getting checks, and the people caring for their kids are getting checks. And if they actually cared about those kids, they'd open up the school so those kids could go to school. So this is all just a joke, and you're right to point that out, Ben.
Well, it seems to me that giving checks to these types of criminals and terrorists is taking broken windows theory a little too far in terms of trying to find people to fund who are engaged in creating economic activity. Leo, tell me a little bit about what you think is really going on here, because to me it seems like the Biden administration, short of having an actual economic plan that is focused on the people who will get this economy running to the level it was before the pandemic, it seems like they're just throwing money at the wall. It's just, it's not really any rhyme or reason to it.
Well, you summed it up, Ben, very clear. Look, the Republican Party, Trump Republican, I'm a Trump Republican, they have policies and programs. The Democrats talk a good game. They want you to feel good. But they have no policies, no program. This is just money being spent, wasted money being spent. And I'll tell you why. Because the left has really taken the position that they want to, undo everything that Trump did, and that's what they're doing right now. This $1.9 trillion bill is nothing more than a payoff to the left, the far left. The economy is doing well, but the key here is this. COVID-19 has been used by the Democrats to create dependency by the public. They like it because it gives them power. It gives them control. It gives them the authority. And what's happening is this. They don't, in my opinion, this may be bad to say, they want this COVID relief issue to remain because it gives them that power. Thank goodness the economy is coming. Thank goodness the vaccine is here. People are now being allowed to open and go do their stores. Thank goodness for the governor in Florida, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Texas. Open up the economy. The Democrats' power will be reduced.
Carley, I want to continue on Leo's point there, because to me it seems like this is going to only increase a number of different inequalities that already were a problem for America and a lot of different experiences. Educational inequalities in terms of the gap between, people who could afford to send their kids to private schools that were open versus those who were trapped in public schools with a Zoom amalgamation of a substitute for education. A number of different economic gaps that we've seen, I think, only increase in this time. Is this a situation where there is an an argument that can be advanced against this type of just throwing money against the wall approach that can actually convince people about the value of fiscal conservatism or more freedom for individuals to work within the economy?
Yeah, well, you have me convinced, but I think that, like you said yesterday, Ben, nobody likes to spend money quite like the government. So there's always going to be a big spending problem when it comes to these massive bills. I think Tom Cotton's tweets were really powerful. However, the first two COVID-19 relief bills also included money that went to prisoners, and those bills did get Republican support, which I think was a problem. That no taxpayer money should ever go to the Boston Marathon bomber or Dylan Roof. That's a horrifying thing to think of. But you know, we are 1 year into this pandemic. The first relief bill was passed in March of 2020, and it also has the same price tag, $1.9 trillion. So, like Leo just said, we have a light at the end of the tunnel. We have a vaccine. The economy is already opening up. So to pass a bill with the same amount of money in it, I think is totally financially irresponsible. But it will be difficult to convince some Republicans as well. Republicans are at fault for passing these monster spending bills as well.
It's something that they've all done time and time again, and it's going to happen again, unfortunately.